E caros amigos, estamos de volta para dar as boas-vindas ao nosso convidado esta noite. É um excelente músico na arte de rap, é conhecido do grande público dessa forma, mas de dia é o Mr. Amaral no Durfee High School, professor de inglês e outros estudos também. Hoje vem falar um pouco sobre si, sobre o seu percurso e sobre a música que lhe ocupa parte do coração. O seu nome artístico é The Craft. Senhoras e senhores, é com imenso gosto que damos as boas-vindas a Karl Amaral. Karl, welcome to the show. Very good. Thank you very much for coming and for accepting our invitation. It's great to have you on. I think a lot of the Portuguese community first got to know you, those that didn't, in Jorge Ferreira's music, right? You participated in 2 songs, wasn't it?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Tiro Liro, A Minha Maneira.
And Banha de Madeira, and also Prova de Amor, the new remix.
Oh, very good. Excellent, excellent. So how did that come about?
So I actually know another Portuguese artist from the gym, you know, Nelson Rego?
Yep.
And he was saying at the last minute, George was pressed to get his CD out and he wanted to do the remix. So he contacted me and said, can you be here in 2 days? Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm kind of busy, but sure. So I got there and I kind of came up with the music right at the spot. Mm-hmm. And George said, hey, would you like to do that, you know, live at the shows? And I said, absolutely.
And how has that been, connecting with your roots in that sense?
I mean, it's been unbelievable. You know, I was very well known in the hip hop community, yep. But once the Portuguese people started learning, they embraced me, and mm-hmm. I mean, it was a dream come true. It
Excellent.
Really is.
Let's talk about your Portuguese roots. Now, your family is from where, Karl?
Madeira.
Madeira. Mm-hmm. Excellent. And you were born here, I'm assuming.
I was born here. My parents were born here.
Excellent.
My grandparents were all from there, and they actually used to sponsor other people that were moving to America from Portugal.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, let's talk about your professional career as a teacher. So when did you decide that teaching would be in your future, that that's the path you wanted to take?
Probably when I was my last couple of years of college, maybe mm-hmm. 2021. And then right after college, I got right into it.
Excellent. Has it always been in the Fall River school system?
Yes, I've been at Durfee for about 17 years now.
17 years. Now, how do students, because I'm sure a majority of the students know that you're also a recording artist, how do they deal with that? I mean, years ago they dealt with Mark Dennis being the recording artist and the teacher. How do they deal with you, a new generation of students?
I'm sure there's a lot of the same ways that Mr. Dennis got it. Some of them love it. And others can't believe it. They laugh, and but it's funny because when they start seeing the videos on YouTube, mm-hmm. it goes around the school, and, and all of a sudden everybody's talking about it. So it's funny.
It must be good in a way because you're communicating in a language, quote unquote, that a lot of the younger generation responds to positively. So do you use your music to inspire students too?
I do. I actually do. We do a lot with poetry. Mm-hmm. And I'll bring in some of my songs to demonstrate what a metaphor is, or you know, different types of poetry. Mm-hmm. And I like to think that a lot of them do get inspired by that. And then they bring in the music that they like for me too. Yeah. So we share with one another. That's
awesome. That's awesome. Now, I also know that some of your time is taken up with football. You're a football coach.
Yes, sir. I am.
Is that through Durfee or through an independent league?
It's Fall River Falcons, which is before they get to Durfee, 7th and 8th grade. Yep. So then they transition into Durfee. Mm-hmm. So I have the kids that will be in Durfee next year, basically.
Excellent. Now, other than English, so you're an English teacher, but you also teach something related to film?
I do film studies.
Film studies. Yep. So what does that englobe exactly?
We look at all different genres of movies, classic movies, foreign movies, and not just if it's good, but really what makes it good. Mm-hmm. As you folks know here with the cinematography and the art direction and the production design. So we look at those elements of the movies too.
Excellent. Now, Karl, when did music start becoming a part of your life, or is this something you've always felt?
My whole life.
Your whole life.
My whole life, yeah.
So you freestyle as well.
I do.
And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But when did you realize that you had that ability?
Well, I wrote my first rap in 7th grade mm-hmm. when I was about 11 or 12, and it was not very good. And I probably should have quit right there. But years later, I got back into it, and I started learning how to freestyle.
Yep.
And actually, before I was a rapper, I was a break dancer.
Okay.
And eventually I used to go all around traveling, dancing, but then I blew out my knee.
Yeah.
And I still had so much love for hip hop, so I decided that I had to get back into the writing of the lyrics and stuff.
And now, in teaching, so you teach English, and you also rap. Those two marry perfectly, don't they?
They do, absolutely.
Do you see that your rap has gotten better after your English studies, or do you think it's just they complemented it more? Not necessarily got better, but complemented it more.
I would say complemented, but like I tell all the kids, the more you read, the better you're going to be at writing anything, because you have more information, you have more words to choose from, to rhyme with, and you have more ideas. So if people like reading and literature like I did, they're going to be that much better at songwriting, as you know.
Excellent. Let's talk about the Fall River school system, Durfee. So there's a lot of talk about Durfee. The new building will it will start construction soon, I believe, right?
They actually
just broke ground. So in your opinion, that was definitely a necessity.
Oh yes, certainly.
You that work every day in those classrooms, going down those halls, so it really was a necessity, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's tough when it costs that much money. No one wants to spend that much in anything, but it's something that we definitely needed in the city.
So as a teacher for 17 years, you've seen a couple of different generations come through. Is teaching different today than when you first started?
Yes, absolutely.
What are some of the most challenging parts of teaching nowadays?
Well, I think the thing that's the most different is the kids and their relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, almost every couple of years you see less and less parents come in, parent-teachers night.
Yeah.
You know, moms and dads used to always be in there. A lot of the time, the student doesn't even live with their parents. They live with their older sister or even their boyfriend or girlfriend. So that's something that's definitely changing. And the other thing is the requirements that we have as teachers. So many tests we have to give.
Yep.
Before, we used to be able to give a test when we felt we needed to. And now, you know, the state, it's very, very structured.
Do you feel as a teacher that this system has come to help or not so much?
No comment.
No comments, okay. Now, Karl, you are also the treasurer of the Teachers Union, Fall River Teachers Union. How did you get into that aspect?
So the former union president needed a treasurer because the other one retired. And she said, why don't you, I'm going to be the president, I need a treasurer. And then the next year she actually didn't get voted back, so we had a new president. So we ended up having a whole new regime change. New president, new vice president, new treasurer. And I always like numbers too, even though I'm an English guy, I like math, so I decided to stick with it.
Great. Going back to the previous conversation with the difficulties of teaching, are there any aspects that are better in the classroom today than maybe 17 years ago?
More support. The support systems are there. And there's definitely a lot more safety nets for the students. So if they're failing, we have a lot more strategies that we can use now that we never used to know about a generation or two ago.
All right, we're going to take a break and we'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit more about your music career and who knows, maybe a freestyle coming up. Senhoras e senhores, estamos com Karl Amaral, professor do Durfee High School, mas também conhecido artista no mundo do rap, conhecido como The Craft. E já a seguir é com The Craft que vamos conversar. Fique connosco, até já.